Later this year, over 3,000 sixth form school leavers will go to university for free. They'll be paid a salary throughout their studies and there'll be a guaranteed graduate job waiting for them at the end.
Sounds like an irresistible offer, and we're here to show you how it could be you.
Hello and welcome to the Sixth Formers Guide to Degree Apprenticeships and our special programme for National Apprenticeship Week. I'm Martin Birchall, editor of the guide.
And I'm Chanise Evans, a former apprentice and presenter at the BBC.
Degree apprenticeships offer a debt-free, earn-as-you-learn route to a university degree or a professional qualification and a well-paid graduate job.
So instead of paying university tuition fees and having to take out loans to cover your living costs during your studies, you could be paid a salary while you do your degree.
And when you graduate, you won't be competing with tens of thousands of other university students looking for their first graduate job. You'll already be working for an employer and will have built up 3 or 4 years invaluable work experience alongside your studies.
It's important to understand that degree apprenticeships don't suit everyone. They are work-based programmes, so from day one you'll be employed and working for the equivalent of 4 days a week and then studying on the 5th day. So you wouldn't have the traditional university experience and you won't get the long summer holidays that university students enjoy.
There are more than 300 employers offering degree apprenticeships in 2025, and many of them are featured in the new Sixth Formers Guide to Degree Apprenticeships. So if you're a Year 12 or Year 13 student and know now that you're interested in a career in areas like engineering, banking and finance, technology, law or business and management, the guide is packed with useful information about how degree apprenticeships are structured, case studies of current degree apprentices, expert advice and guidance from apprenticeship managers on making successful applications, profiles of degree apprenticeship employers, and an A to Z of employers with degree apprenticeship programmes in 2025. Now, one of the career areas that offers the largest number of degree apprenticeships each year is accounting, and I'm delighted that our first guest on today's programme is Jason Nye, Senior Operations Manager at CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. Jason, welcome to the Sixth Formers Guide to Degree Apprenticeships. Now, can I start just by asking, what is accounting? How do we define it as a career option?
So, to define accounting, I guess in its most purest form, is how individuals track, measure and communicate financial information to businesses. But it's actually evolved over time to be a lot more broader than that, as opposed to just communicating past performance of organisations and their financials. It's become a lot more about how we use that information to tell a story, to add value to businesses and ultimately drive good decision making.
Okay, so that's all about rules and regulations, keeping accurate records, reporting on
Correct.
What the financial position is. Now, your organisation represents management accountants,
Yes.
So can we explain the difference between your accountants and those who perhaps work for some of the big accounting firms?
Absolutely, and it's a great question because there is a perception of accounting being exactly that, your more traditional accountant where you're reporting on the past performance of an organisation, undertaking accounts for regulatory needs. Management accounting is a lot more business focused, and it's about taking financial information but really connecting that with a broader understanding of what's happening within a business and organisation and bringing together that financial and non-financial insight to drive effective business decisions, to add value, to make money for organisations, to save money, or just to ultimately drive performance. So management accounting has a lot more of a business focus, a lot more forward thinking. I guess that's the best way I can describe the two. Financial accounting is backwards looking in terms of reporting and performance. Management accounting is looking to the future.
And of course, both have key roles to play within a business, but it's a different training programme to get to the two possible qualifications.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the degree apprenticeships that could lead to becoming a chartered management accountant. What type of employers are offering those sort of opportunities?
So CIMA are working on 2 of the accountancy apprenticeships. So there is a level 4 accounting apprenticeship, which a large number of our school leaver applicants will come into. That will give them as well as their level 4 accounting apprenticeship award, which is equivalent, of course, to their first year at university.
Yes.
They also get the CIMA certificate in business accounting. So they actually get 2 awards. And then from the level 4, they can progress on to level 7, which is equivalent to your master's. And that's where you can get the full CIMA qualification and become a chartered global management accountant. You can also from school go directly into level 7 and progress your way through the levels, but it's very much dependent on the employer. So in terms of employers, because we are management accountants and it's accounting for business, a lot of our apprentices will fall outside of practice and audit. And the fantastic thing about CIMA is because it is accounting for business, there's such a broad range of organisations that we work with. So if somebody's interested in technology, they're interested in fashion, they're interested in sports, there is a real mix of different organisations that they can work with. So your Amazons, your Skys, the NHS. And I think that's an important point when you look at management accounting. The possibilities in terms of industries and sectors is endless. So there is such a broad range of opportunities in the apprenticeship space that individuals can go into.
So that means any company with a finance department is going to need management accountants. So you're not looking out for somebody who has accountancy over the door. You're looking out for a business that you're perhaps interested in. And some of the names you mentioned, people like Sky or working in the fashion industry, sounds very glamorous. You talked about the different opportunities, whether it's a level 4 or a level 7 apprenticeship. What would the apprenticeship typically involve on a day-to-day basis for those who sign up for them? Yeah,
so they're really interesting programs because what they attempt to do is give you a broad range of different opportunities within that business. So they're typically rotational. So over 18-month to 2-year level 4 program, you're probably going to have about 3 or 4 different placements within the business. And at the heart of that is going to be a day-to-day finance role where you may be involved in some production of numbers, maybe some reporting. But then you're also then going to be involved with broader business projects. So, for example, if you're working in a media organisation, you may be put on a project of developing a new TV show or, the costing for that TV show, so on and so forth. So it's trying to give you that mix of giving you the solid ground in the financials to understand how to interpret and how to utilise reports. But at the same time, it's giving you a broader business understanding. So when you do complete your apprenticeship, there are quite a number of different opportunities and pathways that you can take your career.
And we should just mention lots of exams along the way.
Yes.
This is a very significant qualification to achieve. What's the balance between working and studying?
So you are working full-time and then you're going to be studying either in your evenings, some weekends unfortunately, but also there is some day release depending on the employer that you work for. But the great thing again around the professional qualifications they are very practical. They're built with the needs of employers in mind. So what you're doing day to day in your job is reflected in your studies and vice versa. What you're studying, you can take that into the workplace. So they're very practical qualifications that really come together hand in hand. And the hard work pays off in the end, right? Because at the end of this, you're going to become a chartered global management accountant, globally recognised qualification that you can take around the world and, as we've said, across a number of different industries and sectors.
Fantastic. Well, what incredible opportunities that opens up. Jason Nye from CIMA, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So we've heard what's involved in accounting degree apprenticeships. Let's find out about some of the other types of degree apprenticeships that are available this year. Over to you, Chanise.
Thanks, Martin. There are a huge range of opportunities on offer, but let's start by reminding ourselves what a degree apprenticeship actually is. There are several different levels of apprenticeship available, but it's only those at level 6 or level 7 that are classed as degree apprenticeships. A level 6 apprenticeship is the equivalent of a bachelor's degree at university, whereas a level 7 is the equivalent of a master's degree. There are now more than 150 individual types of degree apprenticeships available, covering many well-known professions and occupations and job types. So whether it's a role in banking and finance or business and management, working in construction, training to become an engineer, taking a healthcare role like a nurse or a speech and language therapist, preparing to become a solicitor or a police officer, or working at the cutting edge of technology, there are degree apprenticeships for each of these potential careers. If we look back at which degree apprenticeships sixth form school leavers enrolled on in the past 12 months, we can see that digital and technology solutions professional was the top choice. Over 600 18-year-old school leavers started this apprenticeship in the last year. Becoming a police constable was the next most popular choice, followed by chartered surveyor and chartered manager, and the Level 7 accountancy and tax professional programme. But you can see on the right-hand side that only a handful of school leavers started degree apprenticeships in some of the most specialist roles, like control systems engineer and cybersecurity technical professional.
Thanks very much, Chanise. It's really interesting to see what a wide range of degree apprenticeships are available for sixth form school leavers. You can see the full details of degree apprenticeship programmes at many of the country's top employers in the Sixth Former's Guide to Degree Apprenticeships, and there's an A to Z of employers recruiting for degree apprenticeships in 2025.
You're watching a special programme for National Apprenticeship Week from the Sixth Former's Guide to Degree Apprenticeships. I'm really pleased we can now meet 2 degree apprentices who are working hard on their apprenticeships and are featured in the new edition of the guide. Ben Atioko Hall is an accounting professional degree apprentice at BDO based in their Southampton office, and in Bournemouth, Maisie Green is a financial services professional degree apprentice at JPMorganChase. Hello to you both, how are you?
Hello, really well, thank you. Excited to be here.
I love it. I love the excitement in the studio. Also online from you as well, Maisie. There's lots of energy in the room here, so we'll keep that going hopefully throughout the interview. Maisie, I do want to come to you first, if that's okay. You've both got very interesting stories, but let's kick off with you. So you obviously grew up in Blackpool, went to Blackpool Sixth Form College, moved to Bournemouth to work for one of the biggest banks in the world. How did that happen?
So for me, the apprenticeship route was always something that really interested me. It wasn't something that was necessarily massively pushed at the sixth form I went to, but I'd done a lot of research on them. And for me, it felt like it encompassed a lot more of what I wanted to achieve out of 3-4 years of studying. So JP Morgan, obviously being the name it is and having its recognition across the globe, it was a massive achievement to get the apprenticeship. However, I did apply to loads of apprenticeships because it was what I wanted to do. I think for me, I like the routine, I like the structure of having studying, work, and that sort of thing. So for me, it worked really well in terms of balancing everything that I wanted to achieve. I think the soft skills that I wanted to gain from the apprenticeship were important as the studying side of things, really.
Amazing, you've absolutely smashed it, so well done. As I mentioned, you both have very interesting stories. So Ben, let's come to you. So you've played football your whole life.
Yep.
You grew up wanting to be a footballer.
Yep.
Funny enough, you played for AFC Bournemouth Youth Academy.
Correct.
I thought that was a really interesting connection. And then you fell in love with audit.
Yep.
So what was that turning point for you when you thought, you know what, I'm going to pursue a career in finance?
So like you said, grew up playing football for AFC Bournemouth Youth Academy. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for me there. So I was released at 16, went through sixth form, and then I was lucky enough to sign for Bromley Football Club. So I was playing there, and then kind of the pandemic hit in 2020, and it's during that time where I started to kind of consider my options, and football was a bit up in the air. So I'd always loved finance and business growing up, watching kind of Dragon's Den and stuff like that. And my dad's a chartered accountant and mum works in recruitment, so kind of I had guidance from them to kind of go into the audit accountancy route. And it was just research, really, just studying the big kind of accounting firms and qualifications, and I stumbled across BDO, who are obviously one of the biggest accounting firms in the world, and the ACA qualification being such a prestigious, globally recognised qualification. yeah, it just seemed like a really good route to go down, really.
And you know what I love? That you both did your own research as well, which is really lovely to hear. Just quickly back to you, Ben. Obviously, you described your job as being a financial detective.
Yes.
So for people who don't know what that means or might not know like what that is and what you do as an auditor, can you describe a day in the life of an auditor?
Okay, so I guess the role changes, so from when I first started to now, but essentially an auditor, so companies who are a certain size, they require an audit each year of their financial statements. So like I said, we're kind of financial detectives, so we will, as auditors, we issue an opinion on the financial statements as to whether they give, a true and fair reflection of the company. So we'll perform different tests, go to businesses, work with their staff, just to kind of get the evidence we need to verify the financial statements. So as a junior, you'll be working on kind of lower risk areas, maybe cash, for example, verifying a company's cash balance and getting direct confirmation from a bank. Whereas my role now is kind of, a more senior role, so project management. I might be looking after, one engagement in the morning and another engagement in the afternoon, and kind of, coaching, overseeing the juniors' work. And yeah, completing high risk areas. But no, it's really exciting and lots of different work to get involved in.
It all sounds really amazing and also like very professional. Do you know what I mean? It feels like for a young person who starts out when they're like 18, 19, it's like, wow, they're doing all these amazing things. But Maisie, obviously you do something a little bit different. Can you describe for me as well your day in the life?
Yeah, so I work in a team called Credit Risk Middle Office. So I basically review prospectuses, annual reports, IMAs and ISDAs that are sent to us by clients who want to trade derivatives with JPMorgan. So what we do is we facilitate credit basically in the same way that an individual would have an overdraft. We provide them credit so they can trade in addition to the capital that they have existing. So we review things like whether they're invested in like emerging markets, the extent to which they're leveraged as a fund. So my role was very similar when I joined. You are sort of thrown in at the deep end, but it does help you with your learning because you are challenged from day one and you're not seen as a really, really junior member of staff. You're given that opportunity to excel and to really understand and know your area inside out. And that's why I think the operations side of apprenticeships are really great, because you learn your area so specialist that when you come to move, you then have such great leverage in terms of moving, that you've understood something in such great depth, whereas a lot of schemes do like a rotation, so you only know a few things sort of very foundationally.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you both do a lot. Is it challenging kind of balancing that work life, social life, family balance, Maisie?
Yeah, absolutely. It is challenging. And I think if an apprentice said it wasn't, they'd be lying. But I think what you achieve out of it is absolutely exceptional compared to uni, in my opinion. For me, like organisation is absolutely fundamental in my day-to-day. I plan my day so in depth, from what time I want to go to the gym, what time I want to get up, what time I want to do a bit of revision. I use my Outlook every day to plan what I want to do. So I think, yes, it's challenging, but it's so doable and it's so achievable. It's just what you want out of it and what you can achieve and what you think's feasible, really.
Amazing, I love that. Ben, is it a similar challenge for you? Do you still keep up with football? Like, what, are you watching TV? Like, it sounds like you're doing so much.
Yeah, no, I echo what Maisie said. It's pretty intense, very demanding, but if you're a hardworking, kind of disciplined individual, this is the environment you'll thrive in. And yeah, me personally, I'm still playing football. I'm playing non-league, so I do have time to, keep that side of things up and still going. But yeah, it's intense. But yeah, if you're a hardworking individual, you'll thrive in these environments.
If you've got time to play football, I feel like you've definitely got enough time to social, so that is perfect. Just to talk quickly about your qualifications. So Maisie, you're doing a level 6 qualification, CFA. Ben, you're in your 4th year, soon to be an ACA chartered accountant with a level 7 qualification. Wow. Can you both tell me like what these qualifications entail? So, do you have exams in there? What do they cover? Because CFA, like, what does that mean? All those things. We'll start with you, Ben.
Yeah, no. So the ACA consists of 15 exams, and it's essentially a chartered accountancy exam. So once you've completed those exams, you will be a qualified chartered accountant. Yeah, they're pretty tough, and obviously as you progress, the exams get harder. But like I said earlier, it's a globally kind of recognised qualification with the ICAW, which will set you up for life, whatever avenue you go down.
Amazing. And Maisie, what about you? What do you have to do in your qualification?
Yeah, so the CFA is a really industry renowned qualification. You often see it in people's email signatures and things like that. So we're only studying towards the level 1. So we're understanding things like portfolio management, alternative investments, equities, fixed income, derivatives. So it's learning the really fundamental products in the financial services industry. So it's really, really great. The complex side of it for a lot of people is the maths. So you're learning a lot of derivatives like transaction qualification. So it is complex, and I don't think it gets any easier. I just think you get better at it. So it's just putting yourself under that pressure to really learn and to really thrive in challenge scenarios, because the exam is 4 hours long. So it is a pressured exam, and it is just one exam. So you get one shot at it, but everyone works really hard for 2 years towards it. So it's a massive achievement if you pass it. But for everyone else, I think it's gaining the knowledge as much as it is the qualification.
And it also sounds like the more you practice, the better at it you'll be. So it is just all about practice, like with anything. Just quickly, in literally one sentence, I want you to both tell me what the future holds for you. What are you doing next, Ben?
For me, I'd quite like to move to London, whether that's in audit or potentially corporate finance, M&A role. Really excites me. So yeah, we'll see what the future holds.
Perfect. And you, Maisie?
So I'll be doing a more complex version of what I do now, really, which is extremely exciting.
Amazing. I'm so happy for you both. Well done. You've absolutely smashed it. Thank you very much to Ben from BDO and Maisie from JPMorganChase for sharing your stories with us. You can read more about their experiences in the latest edition of the Sixth Formers Guide to Degree Apprenticeships.
Now, if you're a Year 13 student who's already submitted your UCAS application, but are perhaps wondering whether a degree apprenticeship could be a good option for you, then many of the country's top employers are currently accepting applications for their September 2025 degree apprenticeships. The government's official Find an Apprenticeship service on the gov.uk website lists all employers whose applications are live at the moment, and you can search specifically for Level 6 and Level 7 degree apprenticeships in your area of the country. We're joined now by 2 employers featured in the Sixth Formers Guide to Degree Apprenticeships, who have a wide range of degree apprenticeship programmes available. Nick Wills is Apprenticeships Development Manager at AtkinsRéalis, and in Derby, Tracey Holmes is the Early Career Recruitment Team Leader at Rolls-Royce. Welcome to you both. Now, Nick, let's just start by explaining what AtkinsRéalis does for those who perhaps haven't heard of the company.
Sure. So we're an engineering services and nuclear organisation. So for the work that we do in our sector, it may be whether it's designing entire new cities or creating new power plants. The work that we do is really all about how we can enhance people's lives and how they interact with the world around them.
So lots of design, lots of construction, lots of project management, lots of things for school leavers to perhaps get their teeth into. And coming to you, Tracey, thank you very much for joining us from Derby today. Now, we should point out straight away, the Rolls-Royce that you're working for isn't the one with the motor cars. So should we start by describing what Rolls-Royce does?
That's correct, yes. Thank you for starting that off, because that is one of the most common questions that we actually get. But Rolls-Royce that I'm at is one of the most enduring and iconic brands at the forefront of innovation, and we have been for over 100 years. So we develop aeroplane engines, we work within nuclear submarines, SMRs, just to name a few of the areas that we actually look after.
So lots of heavy engineering, lots of innovation as you describe. Perhaps talk us through some of the degree apprenticeship opportunities you offer, because it's not just technical opportunities that are available, is it?
No, exactly. Obviously, we have engineering degrees that are available to us. unsurprisingly for an engineering company. However, we do also offer things like our finance degree, commercial, supply chain management. We also have things along the digital and IT side, software engineering, as well as the more intricate things like our non-destructive testing, which spans across all of areas of the business.
And just give us a sense of how many degree apprentices you look to recruit in a typical year.
Yep, so over a typical year for our level 6 degree apprentices, we tend to hire well over 200 per year.
Excellent. So Nick, you described what the company does. What sort of degree apprenticeship opportunities does that lead to?
So we have a very wide range of degree apprenticeship programs. So we have about apprentices following 20 different disciplines.
Wow.
So that may be several different engineering roles, but spanning out to things like surveying, environmental, sustainability, project management, digital, a vast array of opportunities.
And quite a few of those perhaps aren't things that school leavers would have come across before. How do you get the message across in terms of what these different programs include?
Correct. No, I mean, for me, it really boils down to around problem solving. So in all of those different disciplines, there's a real key element of being able to understand what's needed, what is the problem and what's required to be solved. And that can take a form in all different ways. It isn't just necessarily core engineering skills. It can be, thinking differently and working with others to come up with a shared solution in whatever discipline that may be.
So you're looking for people who perhaps have a passion for the sort of projects they'll be working on. You don't need people to have had previous experience of any of the disciplines you're actually offering the degree apprenticeships in.
Exactly right, yes. I mean, one of the key things that we look for is the potential in people and the genuine interest and enthusiasm that they have for that particular area, rather than necessarily looking at experiences. It's what skills that they may have brought to the table before coming to the interview, rather than the experience that they might have already had.
Well, that brings me on very nicely to the selection process. And Tracey, I was going to ask you, for the 200 degree apprentices that you're taking on each year, what is the selection process that you put potential applicants through?
Certainly. So we try and make it as straightforward as possible for anyone to apply, so we can be as inclusive as possible. So our application process is that you will answer 3 straightforward questions. So what is it about Rolls-Royce that makes you want to start a career with us? Why would you like to join Rolls-Royce? And then followed up by what you think Rolls-Royce should do. So within the engineering industry, we all know that it's ever changing. So what should Rolls-Royce focus on? So we ask our candidates just to answer those 3 questions so we can get a gauge of where their interests lie, how motivated they are, how much research they've done into the company itself, and how much they actually want to engage with us at the start of the selection process.
Okay, so that sounds like they need to do some homework to get started. What follows after the application form?
Certainly, they do have to do some homework. However, we have been very open and transparent this year. So we have put application guides on our website, on our careers website, that will give you hints and tips throughout every single stage as we go along. Once you have submitted your application, you will then have to do some online testing, situational judgment tests, and motivational tests before you come through to the final sift, which is what myself and my team manage on a daily basis.
Now, for someone who's not done those tests before, that might sound a little bit daunting. Can people practice those either on your website or elsewhere before they get into the selection process?
They certainly can. They can just Google situational judgment tests or go onto the Aon website, and they will give them examples of the types of testing that we're looking for. Now, the types of testing that we're looking at are specifically aged at 15 to 25-year-olds.
Okay.
So this is just to gauge their thought process and see how they approach different situations and different challenges. There are no right or wrong.
Fantastic. So Nick, I'm guessing you have many of those similar elements that Tracey's described. When you get to the final round, how much preparation are you able to help candidates with? Because if they're taking part in an extended, perhaps selection centre or assessment day, what do they need to prepare for?
Well, certainly from a tools perspective, one of the things that we can offer our candidates is we have an online platform called Connector where applicants can engage and interact with existing members of staff, so whether they're mentors or buddies, so they can provide some hints and tips about what their experience was like around how they can prepare for the interview. But again, the interview is as much about us getting to know them as it is them getting to know us and the roles that we do and their interest in how that could work.
Okay. And Tracey, do you have a chance to bring people into the business at that final stage? Will they get to see where they're going to be working and perhaps who they're going to be working with?
Degree apprenticeships, they are held face-to-face within our assessment centres, and everyone that is fortunate enough to come through to one of our face-to-face assessment centres is also given the opportunity to see the questions that they'll be asked in advance. So they can genuinely do the research and they can actually show us who they are as individuals and what their strengths and talents are. We found that if we are able to supply them with these questions, it takes down a little bit of the barrier and it helps them to relax so we can see the genuine person. We can teach them all of the skills that they require throughout the course of the degree apprenticeship, but we need to see who that person is and what it is that they'll be bringing to the business. And like you say, Nick, likewise, it's as much them interviewing us as us interviewing them. They need to make sure that that assessor that they're seeing on the day aligns with the correct behaviours and values that we'd want from any Rolls-Royce employee.
Well, that sounds like a great initiative, giving people a chance to anticipate the questions they're going to be hearing on and answering on the day. Nick, if I can just finish with you, tell me a little bit about the support you put in place once degree apprentices actually start with you and begin their programmes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a sort of a bookended programme of a couple of years where we welcome people into our business. So apprentices will get to meet one another. We'll have guest speakers, senior leadership presence there, and bookended with a celebration event to recognise their success and their achievement in all of those years of hard work doing their degree apprenticeships. But in between there, we have modules and sessions where they can build some of their core skills, but also our mentoring support, our buddying, professional development is a key aspect of what we do in a heavily regulated industry. We need professionally competent people as well. So that support along their journey will help them to complete their apprenticeship, and also some guidance and support about what their next steps are. Coming off a very structured programme, that transition can be a bit challenging, so we have some support in place to help them understand their next move.
Absolutely. And it sounds like they build up an incredible network of contacts during that experience as well. So there we are. Tracey Holmes from Rolls-Royce and Nick Wills from AtkinsRéalis, thank you very much for taking part in the programme today.
Thank you.
So we've had some great advice from apprenticeship employers and heard firsthand from degree apprentices about their experiences. If you're thinking through whether you'd be suited to a degree apprenticeship versus studying full-time at university and aren't sure what to do, then don't worry. Chanise has been comparing the different options.
So, what are the main differences between studying for a conventional university degree and doing a degree apprenticeship? Let's start with the application and selection process. University applications are made by using the UCAS application form, which includes your personal statement and your choice of up to 5 universities. This single application is usually prepared during the autumn of year 13 and submitted by the January UCAS deadline. Universities then usually make offers based on your predicted A-level grades and your personal statement, but some may also require an interview. For degree apprenticeships, you'll make a separate application to each individual employer, which can be at any time between September and April in year 13. There is then a 3 or 4 stage selection process that can include online tests, interviews, presentations, and group exercises. So, once you start a university degree or a degree apprenticeship, how do things differ? At university, you can expect to study for 25 to 35 weeks each year, which is likely to include between 5 and 30 hours of formal learning each week, plus your private study. And you can look forward to up to 25 weeks holiday each year, including almost 12 weeks in the summer. On a degree apprenticeship, you study for the equivalent of 1 day per week, and you'll be working for the employer on the other 4 days. In the office or on site, it's a full-time experience, so that means 35 to 40 hours a week and can involve additional study outside of this. And because your apprenticeship is a real job, you'll have just 4 or 5 weeks of holiday each year. Which brings us on to finances. If you're doing a full-time degree, your university will charge you tuition fees of up to £9,500 per year, which you can cover using a student loan that you'll repay when you're in graduate employment. There are also loans available to help you with your living costs whilst at university. The combination of tuition fees and living costs at university means that student debts at the end of the degree are typically around £40,000 to £50,000. On a degree apprenticeship, your employer will pay all of your university tuition fees and any other training costs associated with your apprenticeship. Because you'll be an employee, you'll be paid a salary throughout the apprenticeship, usually in the range of £18,000 to £28,000 per annum. And most degree apprenticeships last around 4 years, so that can be an income of more than £100,000, enabling many degree apprentices to save during their apprenticeship, as well as having a guaranteed job at the end to move into too. So, degree apprenticeships can be a very attractive option, but remember, they are real jobs doing a specific role from day one. There's no such thing as a general apprenticeship where you could try out a different job and career option. If you're not sure about what you want to do in the future, then going to university provides you with 3 or 4 years to explore your career options and get some work experience with different employers, as well as having the classic student experience.
Thanks very much, Chanise. That's really helpful. And there's plenty more information to help you decide whether a degree apprenticeship could work for you in the Sixth Former's Guide to Degree Apprenticeships, with a foreword from Baroness Jackie Smith, Minister for Skills and Apprenticeships, in-depth articles on degree apprenticeships that are available now, and tips and advice on the application and selection process for degree apprenticeships. Since the new guide was launched last term, it's been made available at over 5,000 schools and sixth form colleges. The response has been brilliant, so thank you to everyone who's read the guide and got in touch with us.
We've had loads of questions and inquiries from sixth form students, parents and school staff about degree apprenticeships. So before we finish today's special programme for National Apprenticeship Week, we'd like to try and answer some of them for you now.
Okay, so we've had a question from James Wilson. He's a Year 13 student from Sixth Form College in the Midlands. And his question is, I've already applied to universities via UCAS to replace this autumn. Would I have to withdraw from UCAS in order to apply for degree apprenticeships?
Absolutely not, James. You are okay. You can actually apply to them simultaneously, and you can even wait till you get your results before you decide on which one you want to actually do. Fantastic.
Thanks for the question, James.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions for you here, Martin. So the first one is from Anna Campbell. She's a careers advisor at Havant and South Downs College. So the first question is, when employers set their academic requirements for degree apprenticeships, do they accept T-levels as well as A-levels, the international baccalaureate and BTECs?
Well, they do. So employers will take into consideration any academic achievements. And of course, although T-levels are still relatively new and there aren't very many of them, if someone's done something which perhaps is a lead into the apprenticeship they're applying for, that will of course be considered in just the same way as A-levels or some of the other qualifications.
Brilliant, good to know. Okay, second question for you. Do degree apprenticeship employers make contextual adjustments to their entry criteria in the same way that universities often do?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because what's at the heart of that is, do employers take into account somebody's family background, whether they've perhaps grown up in a family with low income, or perhaps they have a learning difficulty or a disability. And it's interesting, the employers have been doing this for a long time. In fact, I think they did it well before the universities introduced it. So I think for the majority, particularly for the bigger employers, that's something they would definitely take into account of, and there are ways of flagging up within the application someone's individual background.
Brilliant.
Okay, so we have a question here from Jane Atkins. She's a parent of a Year 12 student at a school in Lancashire. Now, she's asking, do employers value qualifications that degree apprentices get just as much as a traditional degree?
Absolutely, like hard absolutely on that one, because of course the employers are actually choosing the qualifications that the students will be learning and studying. So, and as well as having that extra work experience as well, you're probably in a much better position really. So yeah.
So very portable, and of course with degree apprenticeships you don't have to stay with the employer that you've trained with if at the end of it you want to move on, and of course other employers would be recognising those qualifications as well. So what's our next question?
Okay, so this one is from Mr. Harrington. He is a head of careers at Sixth Form College in the west of England. He asks, can you get a student maintenance loan while you're doing a degree apprenticeship?
Well, that's a really interesting question. Degree apprenticeships are set up so that it's the employer who's paying all the tuition fees and all the training costs, but they pay the apprentice a salary all the way through. We've heard about that in different ways during the programme. So there wouldn't be a student maintenance loan available. Apprentices would be expected to manage off the salary that they're earning. But in some cases you might be able to get student accommodation if you're living in a big university city. So that is perhaps something employers can help with, or you might have the opportunity to perhaps live with other apprentices, so perhaps reducing your costs there.
Wow, that is good to know.
And our final question for today is from Emma Davis, who's a Year 13 student at a Sixth Form College in Lincolnshire. She wants to know, can you take a gap year before starting a degree apprenticeship?
Of course you can take a gap year, yes, definitely. There's actually no age limit to doing a degree apprenticeship, which is really nice to know, because it means that, yeah, if you want to be a career changer, you can also do that. As well as if you want to take a gap year, actually it might be better because then you have a bit more time to think about your application and where you want to go. So take a gap year, why not?
Absolutely, and employers will have those conversations with you now, or you can perhaps have that once you've got your A-level results. So there we are. I hope we've been able to demystify how degree apprenticeships work and explain more about how they provide a genuinely debt-free, earn-as-you-learn alternative to the traditional university experience. Thank you very much for watching today from all of us at the Sixth Formers Guide to Degree Apprenticeships. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.